Okay, I'm going to show you how to do your box mock-ups. This box is sized pretty darn close to the shampoo box, so you should be good here unless you kind of recreate your own measurements. Anyway, so we'll start there, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. Go into Photoshop, new document, I'm just going to leave everything as is, and I'm going to paste that in, making sure we paste as a smart object. So I'm going to open that up. It's quite small, so I'm going to Command Option I to get into my image size. I'm going to adjust my height to be 7, and then I'm going to up my resolution to 300. Pressing OK, and I find a bit close tight in here, so Command Option C to get my canvas size. I'm just going to make this 5 by 7. Grabbing that artwork and centering as best I can. So I'm going to call this box. And I'm going to just get some folders ready here. So artwork, I'm going to call this front, side, and top. And slide those in. So I'm going to go over to my artwork now. So here I have my artwork. A lot of you might have set this up as one large piece. I do have mine broken up into sections. I know that might not be possible for everyone. If you do have this as one large image, if you're able to adjust it through Photoshop, or sorry, through Illustrator before you bring it to Photoshop, I would do so there. If not, you can just copy all of it and then you can section it off in Photoshop. So I'll just show you here. So I'm going to grab my front panel to begin, making sure I grab all of my elements that I need. And I'm going to press copy. I'm just going to go ahead and paste them all in there just freely for now. I'm just going to grab the top, making sure again we're always pasting those in as smart objects. And then of course, because our artwork is showing the right side, making sure you do grab that right side. Copy. And then we're going to paste. So I'm just going to slide into the side. Top. And there we go. Artwork front. Okay. So another thing I'd like to do here is adding some guides as we did with our shampoo bottle. So I kind of like to put them in all of our points. Our box is not exactly straight, but for the most part it is. If you zoom in, you can see it does have a little bit of shift, but we could do that once we adjust that once we start to distort our artwork. Okay, so I'm just going to grab all these guides and I'm just going to bring them down to all my points. It just kind of gives it a really good reference point when we're trying to size, and especially once we start to change up. I'm just going to zoom in for this one. When we start to change up the distortion of it. Turn this there. Okay. It might look a bit crazy now, but those will help you later. So I'm just going to bring my front artwork forward and then keeping them on as a smart object. I'm just going to scale that down first, and then we're going to go ahead and rasterize afterwards. So let's jump over, and I'm just going to kind of hinge it. We can also have it snap to our guides, so I'm just going to have that snap into those center points, transform. I'm just going to get that width just about right there for the most part. I'm just going to press OK, and then again we just kind of usually start with that top left point. Just going to go ahead and hide that, and I'm going to size the side down. I'm going to open that up. And making sure, whoops. And that's looking pretty good there, at least for now. And then for our top. I'm just going in here. What we mostly want to do here is just want to get things so they're not kind of an out of control size. We don't want things to go too small because once we rasterize and start changing up the size, we will start to lose our resolution. So I do prefer keeping them as a smart object and getting them as close to as we can to begin. So just to show you, if we do that as a smart object and we transform, we're not able to use distort. So that's why we rasterize that. So I'm just going to keep this as our smart, and I'm going to duplicate, oops, hide the vector, or sorry, our smart object. I'm going to right click on our duplication, and I'm going to select rasterize layer. So now that we've got that layer rasterized, now we can go ahead and start making our modifications. So we've got this snapped up into the top left corner. You can also bring your opacity down to get a better visual as to where those edges sit. Usually like to bring it down a tiny bit. So now we'll go to transform, Command T, and then we're going to right click and we're going to go distort. So I'm just going to go and keeping my shift on so I can hinge that to the same spot. And then I'm going to grab this point. So again, this one's sitting at a different kind of line than our top one. So I'm going to turn that snap off so I can manually find the right spot for this guy. And that looks about right. And then same thing for here. There we go. So we have our front panel done. Let's work on our side. So again, I'm going to duplicate that, right click, and we're going to rasterize it. And again, I can bring that transparency down a little bit just to help guide the way. And then a little far off here. And then let's go into our distort. I'm just going to move these a little bit and then I'll get my zoom back in. We do have some shaded areas here, which kind of is giving you a visual of what the inside of that box would look like. So we do want to kind of keep that clear of what we have on our front. Sliding all the way down. And that's looking pretty good. So you usually kind of want to hit this in its first shot so you are able to manipulate those corners. If I go ahead and transform and distort, you'll be able to see down here. Now I'm unable to really guide that corner into the spot. So best to kind of try to nail it as best you can from the beginning. So I'm going to bring that resolution, sorry, that opacity back up. And same with the front. Okay, last but not least, let's work with the top. And we'll go ahead and rasterize, and let's bring that layer forward. And using our guides to at least get it into that base corner. And then let's bring that opacity back down a little bit. And then let's go into our distort. So at this stage, you can also bring your other layers ahead so you can kind of get a better guide as to where those are going. So back to our distort again. And then I'm going to pop that there. And guiding this into the dot. Try to spot as best as I can. And then same as here. So you can go ahead and leave that as a shaded area. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it over into the corner because once we add some effects, it might just be nice to have that little bit of color on there. Okay, so you do have a little bit of gapping in here. So that's where we will need to make some adjustments. It looks like that side panel needs some adjusting. So let's go into our distort. Thankfully it's this edge, so I'm able to bring that out. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So generally a nice, quick, and easy way to make this look a little more realistic is by adding a multiply to your layers. That generally picks up everything from underneath. It does not always work, and it does not always look the way you kind of intended it to, but for the most part it usually does. It depends on your colors, etc. Because this is a white box and it does have some nice shadowing on there. It does create a good effect, so hopefully that will work for you. If not, as we did in the actual label for the shampoo bottle, we can go ahead and add some ingredients ourselves or some highlights ourselves. But I think that's actually looking pretty realistic for the purpose of our project. Good luck.